742. Perfect for you and your loved ones.
Welcome back to Washington Watch. Good to have you with us on this Monday. Well, sports fans are preparing for the big game. Yes, the Super Bowl coming up February the 9th in my home state of Louisiana, in New Orleans. Unfortunately, though, there is more than just football at the big game. Ahead of the upcoming Super Bowl, a group of Louisiana legislators, led by State Senator Valerie Hodges, are raising concerns with local sports officials and organizers about the lack of family-friendly content in past Super Bowl halftime shows. And they're calling for this year's performance in New Orleans to align with the state's community decency standards. Louisiana taxpayers heavily invested in hosting the event. They emphasize the importance of protecting children and upholding family values. What a novel idea. Well, here's the question. Could this year be the year families won't have to switch the channel during the halftime presentation? Joining me now to discuss this is Louisiana State Senator Valerie Hodges. Senator Hodges, welcome back to Washington Watch. Great to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you too, Tony. Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, I appreciate you initiating this effort. I've actually signed on to this letter that went to the Super Bowl officials. Explain the main concerns that you have raised in this letter.
Well, the main concerns, Tony, is the fact that what you stated, whenever we have a Super Bowl, which millions of people watch, tens of millions of people watch it, we have to turn the channel during the halftime show. And my family included, we're big football fans, and we've had to turn it off in the last few years almost every time. And this is not a new thing, but it's increasingly over the years becoming more and more inappropriate and more vulgar for children especially. And we just wanted to send a message and raise awareness that Louisiana is a family-oriented state. And we've done a lot in the legislature to protect children from being exploited. And so when you have to turn the channel, I remember the speaker of the House saying he had to cover his eyes, his children's eyes, when the halftime show came on. And so the fact that Louisiana taxpayers are funding this event, I think we have a say. And we're hosting this massive sports event, and Louisiana is a family-oriented state.
Right.
And we're just asking them to be aware of that why did these halftime shows have to have so much obscenity or just inappropriate, vulgar material in it? It's just really not necessary.
In the letter to the officials, you go all the way back to citing different incidents going back to 2004, right, where we had the wardrobe malfunction, and it's kind of like they push the envelope. What can they get away with? And then it just Absolutely. Increasingly gets more provocative. The sexual content is blatant. What better time to draw a line and say, hey, you're coming to Louisiana, we have community standards. In fact, in this last legislative session, we passed even more laws to protect children. This could be the place where the Super Bowl cleans up its act.
Well, I hope so, because they certainly have not listened to the viewers. In the past, there were thousands of complaints, formal complaints to the SEC about this and to the NFL, but they continually get worse. And when we saw the sexual, the crotch shots and the sexual groping and like you said, the wardrobe malfunction, every year it's gotten worse, and the profanity that the children are exposed to. You know, Tony, when you go to the movie, there's a content warning, you know, P or R, and you decide whether or not you want to see that. But when that flashes upon in the middle of a football game, it's unexpected. And so our job as parents and citizens is to protect children and protect their innocence. And I'm excited about, hopefully this message will be heard, and they have not heard in the past, but I believe the fact that we have lawmakers on here, we have national pro-family groups, statewide family groups, local family groups raising their voices saying, we've had enough, and just make this family-friendly, family-oriented, because that's what we're about.
And Senator, it's not only about just protecting children, as important as that is, but it's also about upholding community standards, which we elect people to pass laws that reflect those community standards, and we shouldn't let someone come. You're not going to let somebody come into your house and dump garbage in your living room. And that's what we're talking about here when it comes to we're inviting them into Louisiana. They need to abide by the community standards that have been adopted by the citizens of Louisiana. Now, have you heard back from any of the officials associated with the Super Bowl regarding the letter?
Well, I haven't heard back from any of the officials. I have got confirmation that they did get the letter, and they are taking a look at it. You know, we had the event last week with all the snow, so a lot of people couldn't even get to work. But they did receive the letter. They're not necessarily opposed to what we wrote in the letter, and we're waiting to get a response from them. You know, Tony, I read something yesterday. Even the airline industry is putting codes of decency for dress. Spirit Airlines, Southwest Airlines, American Airlines are saying, I wrote down a quote, it said that no see-through clothing, exposed breasts or buttocks or other parts, private parts, would be permitted to be on the plane. And so you're seeing a move towards decency standards, and even on the airline industry, the movie industry does content warning, and the NFL, I believe they should be responsible and uphold those community standards that we have in Louisiana, that Louisiana is leading the way in so many things, and I believe in this time that we can lead the way on this issue too.
One final question for you, Senator. Part of this provocative halftime show, I would argue, fuels something else that unfortunately has become associated with Super Bowls, and that is human trafficking. It becomes one of the largest human trafficking events is the Super Bowl. Are officials going to be looking at that issue and monitoring that more closely to try to enforce the law when it comes to human trafficking for sexual exploitation purposes?
Absolutely. I've served on the Human Trafficking Commission, and we are very well aware that human trafficking is exponentially higher during the Super Bowl. There's going to be added state police, law enforcement. I believe they're monitoring the internet for different in the dark web that's being that those transfers take place. And so with there's groups that will be down there talking about human trafficking. So hopefully that this can set a precedent, the fact that the halftime shows are, I believe that they can be family-oriented, family-friendly, and they don't need a content warning to go with them. And if they don't change, then hopefully we can do some things to enforce those laws that we have, because they are laws on the books.
Right.
And hopefully they won't be violated.
Well, Senator Valerie Hodges, I want to thank you for joining us today, and thank you for leading out on this to try to make the Super Bowl family friendly.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Tony. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you. All right, coming up, I'll share with you a little bit of my weekend interview with House Speaker Mike Johnson, so don't go away. We're back after this.
Have you ever been to the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C.? Well, now you have a